Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another scary Reddit reading. Today, we have some bones, some spooky dookus scary stories. These are so good. I was sitting here shaking in my boots. Boop, 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 boop. We got EMT stories. We got strip club stories. We have stalker stories. I think it's a stalker. I don't know what the hell it is, but boy, is it scary. But don't forget, tomorrow we're going to have another scary story segment on my Patreon. Don't forget to check it out. It's another complete long format video. Show me a little support. Go over there and check it out. Anyways, you guys, any freaking ways? You almost forgot. You gotta subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. A few years ago, I was walking through the woods off the beaten track a bit, and I smelt this really overpowering sweet smell. Being nosy, I pulled back the undergrowth to have a look and found a dead body. The guy had clearly been there a while and wasn't looking great, all swollen and green and black with various runny bits. The local wildlife had been dining well for a few days. I called the police, who told me to wait with the body until they arrived. Being in the middle of nowhere, it took a while for them to arrive, and it got dark, and I just sat there in the dark with him for a long time. It turned out he had committed suicide. For a long time afterwards, I had dreams about him, and he would talk to me, and not nice things. Mainly about how he was angry. I had disturbed his resting place, and he wanted me to kill myself. Probably just my imagination, but all pretty disturbing at the time. He still turns up in my dreams from time to time, and no doubt he will be tonight after typing this. So there is this common misconception about the smell of death. And it really depends on where they are in the decomposition process. Honestly, everybody, including cops, paramedics, everybody who said that they've smelled a dead body, they all say it's the worst smell they've ever smelled. I'm gonna be honest, my puppy's farts smell way worse than it's kind of serious, but it just smells like really rancid bad cheese. That's what it smells like. To be fair, I just kind of got used to it because we did have a fair amount. And I'm not saying it smelled good. It was very, very overwhelming. And some of the people I worked with, they had to put essential oils under their nose or Vicks so they could do the decomposed body. We had a whole separate room for it. It sounds disgusting describing it, but it's a sweet smell. Again, I would say a dead person's fart is probably far worse than their actual smell. And maybe that's what some of these people who say it's the worst smell they've ever smell. Not really sure. And, maybe I just have a bad sense of smell. But this is terrifying. And to maybe help this person sleep at night, if they, by some amazing chance, see this video, 90% of people who have survived after trying to commit suicide regret it immediately after. Immediately. This is the facts as far as I know. But, the internet lies sometimes. Where I'm getting at is maybe this is all in your head and you have anxiety and trauma from finding a deceased person in the woods, which I'm assuming was far decomposed if they had that sweet smell. I don't get that the worst smell I've ever smelled remark that I hear time and time again. I've just smelled far worse things. I really have. It's not that bad. Honestly, I would say the nickel, when there's a ton of blood, is far worse than a decomposing body, but what the hell do I know? I've only seen thousands and thousands of dead people. Who knows? Who knows? Anyways, this is terrifying. This is terrifying, my friend. Commodore, holy shit, smelled sweet? Commodore, difficult to describe. Sort of like rotting lamb. People say that a rotting body has a very distinctive smell, and I can see what they mean. It is very distinct, don't get me wrong. It is a smell you would never smell on anything else besides sweet cheese. I'm just kidding. Kinda. Commodore, I used to do suicide and murder cleanup. The thing that gets you about it is the smell. It's not that it's that bad. It's just that it's not as revolting as you would expect. That makes it worse. That sickly sweet aroma of a dead body. You make it sound like it's a romance novel. Then you make it sound so not aroma. It's the aroma. Oh, I can feel myself getting romantic already. Commenter, yeah, rotting meat has a very sweet, pungent smell. It's almost food, like in a way, like curry or sweet and sour or something. Another thing I will just mention, and why are these comments so inappropriate? I'm sorry, we're starting off this video a little funky. If you find a dead body, and I have said this in numerous videos, and I know you should always call it in, and you should 100%. But something you should not do, at least in my experience, stick around with the body or call from your personal cell phone. Do it anonymously. That's it. The only reason I say that is because now, although this is a suicide, it may not have been, it may have been a murder, and now you are the primary suspect, my friend. Love that for you. I went to New Brunswick for a week to help my mom empty out my grandfather's house after he died. I don't live near the ocean, but he lived across the street, and I took advantage by spending hours every day looking for seashells. And I had started a small collection on the front porch. On one of the days, we had an estate sale where 100+ people came throughout the day. An overly friendly older couple introduced themselves to me, saying that they were my grandfather's friends. They mentioned that they saw the shells on the porch, and the lady mentioned that she also collects shells, and I should come to her house to grab some. I awkwardly laughed and walked away. When I came around the front of the house, they were talking to my mom's husband about how I should go with them because they live right down the street. My mother's husband immediately agreed on my behalf, and I felt weird saying no at this point, so I just went with them. Turns out their house right down the street was actually about 40 minutes away by car. As soon as we hopped in the car, they quickly started asking a bunch of questions, like what grade am I in? What extracurriculars do I do? Am I a party girl or a studious girl? Etc, etc. I had to eventually interrupt them to tell them I was actually 20 years old and not in school. And somehow after that, they went from super bubbly and friendly to completely quiet for the rest of the ride. I went to their house, the lady filled a small bag with shells, and they quietly and awkwardly dropped me back off. Super weird vibes. My friend, this seems like they are pedophiles. That's just my brain going to the worst case scenario, because as soon as they found out you weren't a kid, the mood changed. They're like, oh, this is a grown adult. Why are you even in my car? Why are what is this? I'm sure, I would hope, I'm not sure, that the parents would immediately say no if this was an underage kid to begin with, going with strangers, let alone they let you go when you're a 20-year-old person. My mom would straight up be like, y'all are smoking crack. My kid is not going with you anywhere, especially 40 minutes away. Your mom's kind of stupid on that one. Thank God all they did was give you freaking shells. Seemed like they wanted to do something else to you. People are weird. And you know, at this point, I'm not going to get political, but I'm going to say something. At this point, I am terrified for every and all children. I feel like every adult, especially a powerful or well-known celebrity adult, is not to be trusted. Yeah, so this story just rubs me the wrong way. Because my first response was like, they want to fuck you. With you being an adult, that's appropriate phrasing, okay? Your mom probably got that vibe too. And God, my mind goes so many places with this. I hate this. I hate this so much. Everything about it. Every decision that was made. Every decision by you to get in that car. What the hell? I would have straight up been like, no, bitch, I'm not going with you anywhere. You and your creepy shells can go fuck yourself, okay? No, absolutely not. Your mom is smoking. She is on one. No way. Commenter, absolutely insane that someone else would agree on your behalf. Like, what? The vibes are terrible here. Thank you, commenter. When I was 15, a lady came up to me and said she was a photographer. She wanted to take pictures of me at my house. She asked for my number, and even though I felt weird, I gave it to her. She later sent me a candid photo she had taken of me. This gave me the worst vibes, and I was still polite to her, but had no intentions of taking her up on the offer or saying where I lived. I told my mom, and she actually thought it was super sweet and encouraged me to take her up on it. I really didn't want to and completely refused. It's weird how sometimes parents can completely miss a weird situation. I agree. I definitely agree with that. You know, and your parents, they have the best intentions for you, and they were probably, I'm speechless. When I was a kid, I was at the beach with one of my friends. If you guys watch my videos, I grew up in Daytona Beach, and so we were always at the beach. And so me and my friend were, you know, hanging out, having fun, and this fucking dude comes up to us. We are like 16 years old, and he's like, "Hey, do you guys want to photo shoot?" We're like, no. And the same kind of situation. He's like, I mean, it's free. It's free. I work for a company. He like gave us his card and blah, 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 blah. He's like, you guys are 18, right? And he said it in a way like, right? Because I'm going to be honest. When I was 18, when I was 16, I looked like a 13-year-old. Okay? I did not look my age. I wasn't somebody that could pass for a 21-year-old to buy beer when I was 16. Didn't mean I didn't do it. I'm just saying it's not possible. It was very weird because we were in a bathing suit, and it was just, oh, it was so creepy. The pictures were fucking trash. They were trash. I'm telling you, they had this angle, which everybody knows this angle is garbage for a woman, or really anybody. The angle from the ground up. So even if you don't have a double chin, girl, right now you have a double chin. Who cares? Let's go to another one. There was a man hiding in our house for a few weeks. Okay, I want to start by saying this actually happened. This isn't some creepy story or something I made up. I still have trouble sleeping alone because of it. Even now, years later at 27, I check every closet and lock every door at least 3 times before bed. So yeah, here's why I don't stay home alone anymore. I was 16, almost 17 female, living with my mom and my little brother, Ryan, like 7 at the time. My mom worked night shifts at a nursing home, so I was usually the one watching Ryan when she was gone. Since he was younger, he'd be asleep by 8, and I'd just do my thing. Watch TV, scroll my phone, eat junk food, you know, typical teenager stuff. We lived in this little 1-story house on the edge of the woods. It wasn't totally isolated, but there weren't many neighbors nearby either. I used to love having the house to myself at night until all of this happened. So the first time I noticed something weird, it was small. I was in bed around 11 p.m., scrolling through my phone when I heard this shuffling sound, like someone dragging their feet on the carpet. I froze. Ryan was asleep. My mom wasn't home. I sat there holding my breath, listening. It was quiet for a second, and then I heard it again. A soft scuffing noise, like someone was moving really slow through the living room. I grabbed my phone and crept out of my room, my heart pounding. I checked the front door, locked. The windows, locked. Nothing looked out of place. But then I noticed something that made my stomach drop. The hall closet was open, just a crack. We never left that door open. Ever. I stood there for a second, my whole body on edge. I wanted to just turn around and go back to my room, but my dumbass decided to check. I pulled the door open fast. Nothing. Just coats and shoes. I remember laughing to myself. I was just being paranoid. Still, I locked the closet door before I went back to bed. A few nights later, I woke up out of nowhere. At first, I didn't know why. Then I realized I could hear breathing. I was laying there completely still, my whole body locked up in fear. It wasn't coming from the hallway. It wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from inside my room. I grabbed my phone, my hands shaking, and turned on the flashlight. I shined it around, nothing. The room was empty. The closet was closed. I barely slept the rest of the night. After that, I started feeling weird all the time, like I was being watched. Like whenever I turned my back, someone was just out of sight, peeking around the corner. I told my mom, but she just brushed it off. Then, about a week later, she woke me up after coming home early from work. She looked off. She asked me why the back door was unlocked, and I assured her I had locked it, and she told me it was unlocked and she just had to lock it. I knew without a doubt that I had locked it the night before, but I didn't argue. That night, I was on edge. I kept my bedroom door locked and my phone in my hand, just in case. I woke up to more breathing and just that gut feeling that someone's watching you. My whole body went cold. I sat up, barely breathing, and listened. I noticed my closet door was open, which was also weird. I turned on my flashlight just in time to see it swing open another inch. And that's when I saw him. I swear to you, there was a man crouched inside my closet, skin pale as hell, hair greasy and matted. He was too thin, like he hadn't eaten in weeks, and he was grinning at me. I don't even remember getting out of bed. One second I was staring at him, the next I was slamming my door shut and running to Ryan's room. Ryan woke up crying as I grabbed him and ran out of the house, my phone already dialing 911. The cops got there fast. They found him still in my closet. Turns out he had been living in our crawl space for weeks. He had gotten in through a loose vent in the basement and had been sneaking into the house at night, watching us sleep, taking food when we weren't looking. But the worst part, when they pulled him out, they found something tucked behind my coats, a knife. The police said he was probably waiting for the right moment. I try not to think about what would have happened if I hadn't woken up that night. I swear this actually happened and it fucks with me to this day. So to the man in my closet, let's never meet again. Oh, that gave me chills. Oh my gosh, this is so terrifying. I could see the grin in the crouch. That was described so beautifully. Great storytelling. This is probably one of my biggest fears. Not the someone living in my house. I mean, of course, that's a fear of everybody's. But somebody being in one of my closets. It's such an invasion of privacy. I am so anal about locking my doors, locking my windows, being careful. As of late, I've been a very heavy sleeper, so it scares the living shit out of me. To think somebody's watching you sleep, oh my god, that gives me the heebie-jeebies. To think about somebody waiting in your closet grinning like a fucking psycho with a knife, oh my gosh, the level of fear. I felt it for you. Oh my gosh. I believe this story because this isn't really that crazy of a story. It is in the context. I'm saying it doesn't sound something so outlandish that sounds fake. Gosh, I wouldn't ever be alone either. Even during the day, I'd be like, I need somebody here 24/7. I'd be getting dogs, something to alert me when there's a motherfucker lurking around. No way. Because I have yappers. Dude, oh my gosh. I have dogs that I am so thankful for. They are annoying, but I'm not even kidding. They'll hear something so slight. And now they've taught the puppy. Because now I have 3 dogs. Even if somebody just walks in the room and they've been in the house, they're on alert and they start barking. I mean, they chill once they see them after a couple seconds. Any little sound, they're like, and it's probably because my paranoia has rubbed off on them. I have trained them well, my little proteges. Commenter, have you submitted this story to a popular podcast or somewhere? I've read a lot about frogging, which is this, living secretly in someone else's space. I read or heard a story almost identical to this one time. I'm not saying it was your story. I can't recall all the details. Just that a person woke up to a man hiding in their closet who had been living and creeping in the house, and that person had a weapon somewhere. Daniel Lepante, I believe you are referring to. He was basically living in their home for months and finally seen by the family in the husband's recently widow's wife wedding dress and a hatchet, and they only escaped because the daughter jumped out of the second-story window to get help. As messed up as that was, he actually did kill a family when he got out of jail in an eerily similar way to the first family. You know, I'm gonna be honest, I'm so sick of the AI shit. I'm not saying I don't like AI. I'm saying every time something is structured properly or somebody has those lines behind something they say, which is proper fucking grammar. Oh, it's AI. Oh, It's AI. I'm sorry that some people actually paid attention in English class, okay? And even if this was written by AI, you guys, she probably put her story into AI to be more comprehensive for us, to make it sound more intriguing and not like a lie. Because when somebody doesn't know how to structure a story, it sounds like a lie. I'm just so sick of everybody being like, oh, this is fake. Oh, this is AI. There's like a war on AI. Who cares if it was written by AI? OP said it happened, whether she had it structure it properly or not. Good grief, you guys. Come on. I don't know why it matters. Why does it matter if AI did write it? Does it make it not true? Annoying. What was your "we need to leave now" moment? Just a couple weeks ago, my boyfriend and I went on vacation and went to a strip club. I haven't been to many, but I like supporting that work and watching the impressive things they can do on the pole. We found a club that offers rides and free cover charge. We finally get to the club and it's not poppin'. A couple other couples were there. My boyfriend orders 1 beer and a shot. I order a gin and tonic, 1 shot. A gin and tonic is not sweet. This is important later on. And a bottle of water. We sit down and start to watch and talk. Not 2 minutes later, the first lady comes up and starts talking to me. She was friendly enough, but wanted to give me a lap dance. I kindly decline, and she wants a tip for talking. I give her a tip and she moves on. I am the only one tipping the woman dancing on the stage, and now I know why. I had multiple women come up to me and would not leave me alone. One kept grabbing my boobs and wanting to take me away. My boyfriend went and got another beer and a shot. He is a big man who could handle his alcohol. I was still drinking my 1 drink and water. I can also handle my alcohol. We had only been there an hour when 2 ladies come up and were definitely on drugs, rambling about nonsense and sounding insane. They would not leave our table. They kept leaning forward and back, and I was trying to watch the girls dancing. I went to take a sip of my drink and it tasted sweet. My drink is not sweet. And my boyfriend was slurring his words and slumping in his chair. Something in me said, "You need to leave now." And the girls at the table said, "Hey, we will be back to check on you in a few," winked and left. I grabbed my boyfriend and said, "We need to leave now." And I practically had to pull him up. Just as I was standing up, I had hands on my back telling me to stay and I need to have a dance. And I pulled them off and said, "No thanks, we are leaving." I get us outside and I'm feeling dizzy and nauseous, but I know I need to push through and get us an Uber. The Uber arrives and the guy is watching a religious cult video about punishing cheaters and gays. It was too late to get out and I felt like I was going to pass out, so I just kept deep breathing and pinching myself hard to stay awake. My boyfriend was pretty much slumped, couldn't hardly talk. So finally, we get back to our hotel and I'm hardly awake, dragging us through the hotel and back to our room. The next morning, we are both so messed up, we could barely eat or drink anything. I am so thankful I could taste the roofie and did not have as much as my boyfriend, because they definitely would have robbed us or taken us somewhere. Be careful of your drinks, people. I'm so glad that these are not tasteless, and I'm sure there's some on the market that are completely tasteless, but you knew right away and you're like, my big man is my big man is not doing good, and I taste something sweet, something's weird. And I'm gonna be honest, you know, I've been to strip clubs, and if somebody just comes up and starts grabbing me, there's gonna be an issue, because I understand what kind of place we're in. I do. But there are still lines of consent. Unless I am engaging in your advances, which you are not going to violate my body. Because when I have gone, I'm not kidding, it's like all boundaries are off the table. I had a bitch on stage trying to make out with me. And I'm like, no. I am not somebody that likes to do these things. When I was younger, I thought it was intriguing. I thought it was interesting. And I give mad props to women who strip, because it's hard work. I know it is. You're up there doing a full-on exercise for hours. I don't know how you do it. You gotta be in good shape. You know, boundaries are boundaries, and they were all being real weird. It seemed like everybody was involved. So this could have been you being taken advantage of, you being robbed, a number of things. It's thank God you just pushed through and you were like, get in that GD car. We are getting in that GD car. I do not care what he is listening to. I do not care if he is listening to a video about hurting babies. I don't care what it is. Get me home now. Get me home and out of this place and away from these people. I'll report you to Uber later. Or Lyft or whatever service you were using. I'll report you later. I'll take care of you later, but I gotta get my ass home before my ass ends up in chains on somebody's radiator. Crazy. That is so scary. And this is a big reason why I just don't go out. Ain't nobody gonna be spiking my drink in my living room. I mean, unless I got a Frogger. And he's like dropping it from the vent above the couch like, what's the most terrifying, unexplainable encounter you've had with a stranger that still haunts you? Not quite a stranger, but my husband and I had a brief, odd encounter with a maintenance man at our apartment complex. He'd answer an ad we'd put up looking for new players in our D&D group, but had said very bizarre things, so we said we didn't think it would work out. He seemed surprised but not upset. A few days later, there was a knock at the door. My husband was napping, so I answered, and it was the same maintenance guy. He started rambling about how he just got off work, his ride had flaked, and he didn't want to walk home in the July heat, and asked for a ride home. I felt uneasy. I didn't know the guy. He acted a little bizarre when we first met, but didn't want to seem like a jerk. So I said I'd wake my husband up since he knew the roads better than me, and he'd drive him home. The guy became strangely insistent and a little aggressive, telling me, no, it has to be you. I live at cross streets. It's not that far. You can drive me home and be back before he wakes up. And kept going on like that, starting to sound belligerent, like I was being completely unreasonable. An alarm went off in my head. I said, no, I'm not comfortable with that. Sorry. Shut the door and locked it, then woke up my husband. I'd been afraid I'd overreacted, but my husband made it clear, no, that had been fishy. He decided to step out and see if he could talk to the guy, telling me to lock the door behind him. He came back a few minutes later. The guy hadn't been outside, so he'd gone to the front office to talk with the manager. What the manager said disturbed him even more. The guy had just been picked up by his mom, whom he lived with. He lived in the opposite direction of the address he wanted me to take him to. The manager let us know the guy was a contractor, that had been his last day, but that she was concerned enough that she'd tell the owners to not hire him again. So we moved out a year or so later. I kind of shoved the encounter in the back of my mind, trying to convince myself that he'd just been a little socially weird, and ignored the more scary parts. A couple years later, my husband called me over to read an article on a local news site. A maintenance man at our old apartment complex had been arrested for using his master keys to break in apartments and sexually assault women and girls who were alone. They had a picture. It was the same guy. That scared the shit out of me. It was obvious he targeted me. My husband worked at home, so the maintenance guy never quite knew when he was there. So he couldn't use the master key to break in. He figured a sob story would lure me out to some place alone. Also, the article mentioned the owner had threatened the woman with eviction if they told the police what happened. Charming. Always trust your gut, you guys. It's almost every story on here. I understand that these workers have to have a skeleton key, but why? Why? I do not want somebody in my house without me being there. I lived in apartments, I lived in townhouses, I lived in places where we had these types of people. And you know, they do have to give you 24-hour notice, but in Utah, I lived somewhere where my landlord fucking hated me. She hated me. I have her on video. I was growing 4 bonsai trees and I had them outside this particular day. And I have her on video kicking them over into the grass and then taking the shell, you know, the pot they were in, and just putting them on my porch. She hated me. I know it's because she wanted to bang my husband at the time. I'm not stupid. Okay. She could have had him. I mean, she could have had him. Anyways, it always worried me because yes, they have to give the 24-hour notice, but they don't always do it. I think it's so stupid. If I was a maintenance person, I'd be like, no, the person has to be there or I am not entering the house. I do not care if we have to do maintenance of changing everybody's filters once a year. They're gonna be home because you know what happens when you enter somebody's house without them being there? Things just end up going missing, whether it's the tenant lying or the maintenance person actually stole from them. No, I don't understand this. And this kind of situation could occur because there's a lot of weirdos out there. There's a lot of crazy Looney Tune ass people out here. You can't trust anybody. You really can't, especially if they have the key to your house. That's why I will always suggest getting a second something. Not a second lock because they're going to want to lock to that. But like one of those, you know how hotels have that I can't remember what it's called. One of those bars that close or the chain links that close because you ain't coming in my house without me knowing if I'm here or I'm not. No effing way. I feel like you hear these stories so much. And you only hear bad stories, to be fair. And there is no comments because this is a comment itself. Hi, I'm an EMT as of writing this, but as this takes place, I was a student doing an ambulance ride out with the local police department. We have an hourly minimum as students to go and learn with them and take calls. On my official last day of ride outs, I chose a Friday night, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. I live in a busy-ish small city in Texas. Most of our calls at the station would occur later into the night, so it was common for us to sit around waiting for nighttime. I was taking notes for class when we got dispatched to an unknown status female under the bridge. This isn't unusual, as we have a big homeless population, and callers would see them on the road and think something is wrong. Often, they'll just be drunk, or sometimes we just give them Narcan if they've OD'd. It was very exciting, not because of someone hurt, obviously, but because of the adrenaline rush. Walking out onto scene, we were dispatched to a residence, but not a house. It was a collection of tents intricately connected together under a big main highway road. Walking closer, the EMT medic and I found who our patient was. Initially, she had her back turned towards us, and she was sitting down crisscross style, so we were unable to see what she was doing. She looked very busy, like she was sawing or doing something odd directly in front of her. She was sitting in a wet ditch, slightly away from her residence. It smelled terrible, but I chalked it up to poor living conditions. We tried to get her to speak to us, and she cussed and shooed us away without turning around. Walking up, we finally realized what she has been doing. At first glance, I noticed her legs and feet. She had discolored ankles and feet in natural shades of purple, yellow, and green tones. Toward the toes, there was raw red flesh slowly bleeding and inflamed. I didn't recognize what she was holding at first, as I was too distracted by her feet. At this moment, my medic was talking to her, trying to comprehend what the hell was happening and to get her to want transport. She was cutting off her toes with a pair of kitchen scissors. The feet had necrotized, and she was brutally hacking away at her flesh and toes with the most blunt pair of scissors I've ever seen. On her left foot, her rotted flesh had toe bones sticking out. She had completely degloved her toes, and we were unable to find them on scene. On her right foot, she had been successful at fully amputating the toe bones and left a grossly rotted stump of necrotic flesh. Again, not able to find the remnants. Despite the gruesome injury, she was not in pain, assumingly from the flesh necrotizing. She was also arguing my paramedic down, saying that she did not need to go to the hospital. It took about 30 minutes to get her to at least come inside the ambulance. Unfortunately, the medic and I were the unlucky ones to sit in the back with her while the EMT transported. Before transport, however, the smell was overwhelming, and my medic had to briefly step out and throw up before going en route. I am still unsure why I didn't get sick. It was really bad. I do have a background in mortuary transport though, so a bonus from that job. With her on the stretcher and with better lighting, we were able to fully see the damage she had done to her feet. The entire time she was arguing that she wouldn't need an amputation, that cutting her toes off and wrapping bandages around them got rid of the gangrene. I looked at her injuries more closely and saw there were bugs in her skin. Not big ones, but the movement was present, and that's how I noticed them. Ugh, gross. We didn't want to make her angrier than she was, so we didn't take any vitals or ask too many questions. The stench was absolute insanity. Upon arrival to the hospital, an ED doctor I've seen a few times during the clinics took over. The patient was very excitingly screaming about her removal of her toes, directly into the doctor's face. We sprayed everything and wiped literally every surface of the ambulance with disinfectant. Directly after, we left and got food from Zaxby's. It's crazy to say, but her feet with the tiny bones sticking out looked like chicken bones, or it looked like discolored ribs. Also, the patient had a bunch of Nazi tattoos on her, and the day prior, the fire department had been out on her for a similar call before she hacked off her toes. She had been screaming racist profanity slurs at one of the responding EMS, and she apparently had an entire handle of Tito's to drink. While I don't think this is the scariest thing to ever happen, I certainly was unnerved, seeing as I'd only responded to car wrecks, DV, and medical issues so far. Sometimes I'll just randomly have images of her feet pop into my mind. Gross. Yeah, to note, she probably wasn't in any pain at all, and they would have been amputated anyways. So really, no harm, no foul, right? I don't know what they did at the hospital, but she probably lost her whole foot because infection seems to travel, and if you don't catch it in time, man, that sucker moves fast. Man, oh man. I am very interested in bugs. I think they're the coolest shit ever. I love bugs. I have so many bug tattoos, you guys. But they're disgusting. Disgusting. For example, in the morgue, we would have a lot of decomposing bodies, or we would just have bodies with bugs on them for whatever reason. Not really sure. Maybe they had a good scent. I'm not really sure. But there was this one form of bug that we were told to look out for. And man, was it a creepy little thing. These suckers, you'd have to get them off your hands so fast. So these things would eat through your gloves. If they sat on your glove long enough, they would eat through your gloves, which no bueno, right? That's not good. That's disgusting. You don't want to touch all of this biohazard material with no gloves. It was protocol. We had to at least double glove. And man, our autopsy gloves were thick, my boy. They were thick. You think of like, I don't know if people have used sterile gloves. It's like sterile gloves on steroids. They're so thick. They're like almost full on rubber glove. It's amazing. But it wasn't that big of a deal because we had to wash the bodies fully down before an autopsy, and it'd get rid of most of the bugs. Because sometimes they'd just be down the throat. And so gross. So necrosis and all of that is just so gross. Bugs in the skin, bugs when they use them for medical treatment, when there's something like this, like necrosis, they'll sometimes put maggots in your wound and it'll eat all that bad flesh, and so you'll have a fresh new wound that's gonna heal. Or leeches or whatever. Commenter, what an introduction to your profession. That poor woman. How mentally ill do you have to be to operate on yourself? No comment. However, I just remembered the pregnant woman who cut her baby out, then went for a walk with the fetus. What? Can we elaborate on that, please? OP responded, I always feel empathy when I see someone that down bad. I'm not entirely sure, but it was most likely drug and alcohol usage. She had been living out there for a long time. She normally wore some rain boots, so I'm assuming that she got gangrene. Definitely won't forget it. Actually, I have operated on myself, and I don't really care. I did not have insurance at the time, and I know this is absolutely insane behavior, but here we are. I had moles that were changing. I know they were cancerous. I know they were cancerous from the bottom of my soul, because we cut off cancer all the time. And I'm like, I don't have insurance, and I can do this myself. So I have cut off probably 5 of my moles. Do not recommend. Do not do this. Do not do this. I'm not a trained professional, but I am trained in suturing and sewing you back up. But don't do it. Don't, even if you're trained, don't do it at home. You can cause an infection. But I did it. I have no regrets because I don't have to look at them and be scared every day. Yeah. And also, it needs to be tested, you guys. You need to make sure you get the whole thing out. Just because I did it doesn't mean you should do it. It's one of those typical things. Do as I say, not as I do. Isn't that what these people say when they're being buyed? They don't want you to be buyed. Terrifying encounter at a wedding. I went to a wedding of my friend Courtney about 2 days ago, and I still can't shake my mind of what happened. For context, I grew up in a very religious household and went to church every Sunday, and Courtney is probably the only person from my old church that I still keep in contact with. The situation started at the reception. Courtney was super excited to see me and was definitely the only person who felt that way, judging from all of the stares from the people at my old church. I sat down at my table and started playing something on my phone when some guy sat next to me. He said that the seating chart said that he was supposed to sit at my table and introduced himself as the groom's friend, Anthony. He was pretty cute, so I spent a lot of time talking to him, and we really hit it off. He didn't seem to judge me for being an atheist and seemed genuinely interested in me. When the dance started, they started playing Brown Eyed Girl, and he offered to dance with me. We danced together for most of the night until he left to go to the bathroom, and a little later, I did too. When I came out, I saw that my purse wasn't on the table, which was weird because I swore I left it on there. I was tired and thought I had just left it in my car, so I went in the parking lot and into my car to look for it and found it on the center console. I still thought it was weird because I really thought I had brought it inside, but at that point it was pretty late in the night, so I didn't think much of it. I danced some more and noticed Anthony was gone. I asked the groom, who said he had gone home because he wasn't feeling too good. Pretty soon I felt sick too, so I said goodbye to Courtney and went to my car. As I put my keys in the ignition, I looked behind me and saw something weird. It looked like something had ducked down from the trunk. I took my keys out and looked back there, and that was when I saw him. Anthony was crouched down in the trunk of my car. I started screaming and ran out with him chasing after me. I went inside and told Courtney, who immediately told her husband, who walked me back to my car, where Anthony was nowhere to be seen. Courtney's husband said that he didn't see his car anywhere, so he probably left. I left, and I still feel sick to my stomach thinking about it. He could have easily gone home with me and killed me if I hadn't looked back. Courtney said that she feels terrible that she invited him and that she had no idea that he would do that. I haven't stepped out of my house since because I'm worried that if I do, he'll be waiting for me like he was before. Terrifying. Oh my gosh. I hope that one day I'm rich so when stuff happens like this, I can just move. Because I'm assuming he knows where you live because he puts your bag in your car and your address is on it. And, man. Me being the person I am, even in the most comfortable situations, I don't leave my purse around. If I'm at an event, I will not bring a bag. If there's something that I need, whether it's my card and my phone, whatever, my keys, I will be holding it. Unless I have a bag, then I'm holding the bag. I'm not one of these people. I will make myself uncomfortable the whole night and not put my purse down. It is more of a hassle to have to go and cancel all your cards or some creep to find your purse like this, go to your car, and what the hell? What the hell is even this? This is terrifying. Like, what was his game plan? Do you think he was joking with you and he was embarrassed, like he was just fucking around with you, and that's why he had his head popped up? Because I can't imagine why he would be looking and risking letting you see him if he had a plan. Otherwise, he would have just stayed ducked down. You know what I mean? Unless he's just stupid and the worst criminal on the planet. Even if this is supposed to be a cute little prank, this could get you killed. This 100% could get you killed. Imagine she had a gun on her and just turned around and shot you. You never know what people will do. You met this girl tonight and you're in her trunk. You met this man tonight. You don't know him. You did such a good job. Honestly, in this situation, I probably would have froze. I don't know what I would have done. I would have been so scared and full of fear. I probably would have froze. Because what do you do? I mean, I probably would have ran eventually, but damn, bitch. Oh, that's so scary. But you guys, there is an update. We rarely get updates on scary ones. Hell yeah. Update. The last couple days have been kind of crazy, so I haven't had the chance to look, but thank you all for your advice that I wish I had known about earlier. Unfortunately, my address was on my ID, and as I learned now, Anthony took photos of it. Anthony and the groom aren't exactly friends, but they know each other well enough for him to be invited. After the whole fiasco, the groom tried to text Anthony about it, but got no response. Anthony showed up at my job lurking around the parking lot before he ran off when he saw security. He left me a note on my windshield that just says, "I'm watching." Security at my job has been notified about him, so hopefully I'm safe there. I was told by other people that went to the wedding that he was introducing himself as my boyfriend and that he was planning on proposing. I'm currently trying to file a restraining order against him and feel horrified. He lives in my city and knows where I live, so I'm staying at my aunt's house as I speak. If anything happens, I will update again. So he's like crazy. How did nobody know he was crazy? I feel like you know when somebody is like this. I don't believe that your friend's husband and your friend did not have any red flags from this man. There's no way. When they saw you mingling, they should have given you a heads up. I don't care. Unless they are absolute idiots, there's no way this kind of behavior has gotten past these people. There's no way. You're at my wedding. You know me. No, I don't believe it. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. Commenter, wow, that's pretty freaking weird and scary. Sorry you experienced that. I hope that Courtney and her hubby follow through with the new knowledge of their friend. OP responded, the groom, who I'll call James, said that he's always known Anthony has been a bit weird, but he didn't think of him as that weird. Bingo! I freaking told you guys. I told you. He knew. And he convinced himself he wasn't that bad. Get a grip. Commenter, do you have cameras where you live? If not, you might want to invest in a couple. Keep your head on a swivel, because if he went through your purse, he probably knows where you live. This is before the update. Also, wouldn't hurt to file an incident report so the police are aware of the situation should anything else occur. Stay safe, OP. Commenter, I'd question his friendship with the groom, but I don't see why Courtney would have known. People put up faces to their friends all the time. It's unlikely that Anthony does this randomly at every event. He's obviously targeted OP. I don't think that somebody like this, that was this insane, I don't think this is his first rodeo. And I think Anthony knew this wasn't his first rodeo and just didn't know how to tell his wife to tell you to freaking have your guard up. He has pictures, plural, of your license. He probably has pictures of all sorts of shit. He probably went through your entire car. I don't know what's in there. He probably knows where you're living right now. Oh my God. The cops are not going to do anything. Even if you have a restraining order, my guy, it's basically a piece of paper. They don't give a fudge. They do not care. Crazy people do not care if you have a restraining order. You know what they do? They plan and they plot and they wait for the next time to do it. So the next time's the final time and they get what they want. That's what they do. They don't stop. No way. Not until they get what they want. This is terrifying, OP. You need to get cameras. You need to do a lot of things. You need to have somebody that has your tracker on at all times on your phone. You need people to know where you are at all times. I don't care if that's an invasion of privacy. I have that. I have to have at least one person in my life that has tracking on me 24/7. Because, y'all know I'm cray-cray. I am paranoid. I do not do that. No. Because somebody takes me, hopefully I'll have my phone. Hopefully, you know what I mean? Or, swallow a tracker or something in the midst of chaos. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, whatever you want to do. It's all up to you. Wait. One more reminder, if y'all like my shit, I have a whole nother video coming out tomorrow, a spooky dooky stuff. Go check it out on my Patreon, links in the bio. Make sure to subscribe.